Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Samuel Smith Old Brewery, and they're out of Tadcaster, North Yorkshire, England, over in the UK, and this is their India Ale. So this is an English IPA that comes in at 5% alcohol by volume, 46 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this bottle is, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. So full disclosure, I've had this one once before, back in the early 2010s. Now, I basically picked up a bunch of beers back then from Samuel Smith. I ran the gamut, so to speak, on their beers, from their oatmeal stout to their taddy porter. I believe I picked up the chocolate stout, their nut brown ale, along with this, and this was the only one I didn't care for. Now, back then, wasn't a huge fan of IPAs of any kind, so it made sense that I really didn't care for this one. And I have not revisited this beer since then, which kind of blows my mind. So I thought I would pick this up to review as a shelfie beer for the month of February 2024. However, there was a code on the neck of the bottle when I first picked it up, and I couldn't decipher it. It wasn't like a Julian code. It wasn't anything you could easily decipher. So my plan was to look up the code to see how old this bottle was when I was going to review it. However, for all of the shelfie beer reviews that I review at the beginning of the month, I do a vlog to show them off. And when I picked it up, I noticed the code was not there anymore. I must have rubbed it off at some point, putting it in the fridge, maybe taking out, whatever the case may be. So I don't know how old this bottle is. Could be a couple months old, could be a couple years old. I will say here in the Buffalo, New York area, they don't rotate the stock all that often for imported English beers, so I'm betting this is a bit older, but you got to make do with the beer you have when you do shelfie beer reviews, so here we are. I wish I would have had the code. Maybe we could have figured it out. I probably would have been able to figure it out somewhere and know for sure, but it is what it is. Anyway, they have a spiel on the back we will not read because it's already going long enough without me even saying anything. So I'm going to crack it open here. I love the gold foil on these, and I'm actually going to leave it. I just like the gold foil. Just put it over there. The gold foil's all over my hands now. It's beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to use the Dogfish Head IPA glass because why not? I love washing this glass. It's so much fun. This is one of those glasses I hate to wash. I almost feel like I'm going to break this every single time I have it. So there's that. So we got a decent aggressive, not a super aggressive pour, but I mean, that's a beauty in the glass, honestly. Get every last drop in there. So put this over here. Now, this is an English IPA. This is not going to taste like your new school IPAs or even, your old school American IPAs. This is the OG IPA. Anyway, that looks beautiful in the glass. It has this beautiful, like bronze color to it, like a very deep, vibrant orange. On camera, it's probably gonna be dulled out, but this looks like an old school American IPA or an English IPA, which it is. Great clarity, almost looks lager-like. You can see my hand through the other side. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, it has a beautiful clarity. Tons of carbonation. This does have the notch in the bottom, the etching, so to speak, the nucleation, I believe they call it, to kind of promote the carbonation, which is why you might be able to see the carbonation. Had about a finger and a half of a off-white, almost lightly tan-colored head. I would say more like maybe like an eggshell white. Definitely off-white. Looks pretty creamy. It looks really nice in the glass, if I'm being honest with you. So let's get a nose. Yeah, I mean, this smells... You hand this to somebody nowadays, in the US especially, and they're not going to believe this is an IPA of any sort. If so, they might say this is like an old school IPA or maybe even a pale ale, right? Beautiful malt presence. There's a lot of like bready, but more biscuity, almost like a toasted biscuit kind of malt quality. Honey-like, touch of caramel and toffee. A very rich malt character. And then the hops, they honestly are all over the place in terms of characteristics. This is not like a super fruity profile. There's a lot of earthiness and there's a floral-esque kind of vibe to it. And basically, what I'm getting from this, from the fruit character, is like this nice orange peel, orange rind, but also a little bit of apricot, and it's reminding me of a marmalade, like an orange marmalade or an apricot marmalade, something in that realm. Yeah, floral, earthy, slight fruitiness. Yeah, I mean, it smells like almost like maybe a little bit more of like a hop forward, like English bitter or an ESB, like something in that realm. It smells nice though. Like this smells like, yeah, obviously like a pub beer. You just want to sit down and drink a bunch of these, hanging out watching the football game. I'm not going to say soccer. It's football. Yeah, but I mean, it smells pretty good. I'll be honest with you. It smells good. I want to get into it, see what this one has to offer. It's been what? I think I had this one, the only time was 2011, 12. So it's been at least like 12 years, we'll say. Crazy. Cheers. I could crush the entire 4-pack very quickly. It's nice. It's nice. It's not mind-blowing. Nowadays, I don't think you're going to drink this one. If you're in the mood for an actual, new school or current IPA, this probably won't satiate that, kind of craving you have. But at the end of the day, it's a nice drinking beer. If it's old, it doesn't taste old. I mean, there's a nice vibrancy here. So let's say this is like 6 months, a year old. It's held up pretty well from what I know of the style and what I've had within the style. English IPAs are not something you see commonly here in the US. So I haven't had a ton in my life. I've had a decent amount. And I think this kind of fits the bill. So let's go body and mouthfeel. Body's like medium body. Really nice for 5%. The mouthfeel, it's actually a little bit softer, smoother, and creamier than I anticipated. Like, there is a nice carbonation. I'd say mild to moderate, more approaching moderate. But it's pretty smooth on the palate, and there's a little bit of a softer kind of character as a whole from the mouthfeel. So I really like the body mouthfeel. The taste, very simplistic, to be honest with you. This is not overly complex. It's not, there's not like 7,000 different notes here. But what is in my glass is done pretty well. Again, all that malt goodness at the forefront. Again, it's more of like a toasted biscuit, little bit of honey, touch of caramel toffee, like sweeter tones, but it's not too rich. It's not too sweet with the malt. It's those, like the toffee, the caramel, and the honey's kind of accentuating that toasted biscuit to me. As it passes through, though, I get the fruitiness. It's, again, orange peel, orange rind. It's not like a juicy orange. It's not like a sweet orange. But those two, in conjunction with what I'm getting is like a nice ripened apricot, meshes well with the base like malt character. And again, it's giving me more of like a marmalade, like an orange marmalade, an apricot marmalade, some sort of like citrus into stone fruit marmalade. And it finishes with this nice floral, earthy kind of component, a little bit of like a copper coin-esque kind of feel as well. This is mild to moderately bitter, like smack dab in the middle. It's semi-dry. It's super easy to drink. If I wasn't reviewing this beer, I might be already done with this beer. That's how, it's quite refreshing. But I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that like it's super complex or super intense with the flavors. It's very light. It's 5%. Think about drinking like a 5% hop forward beer, even nowadays, whether it's like a hazy or a New England style. Most of the 5% ones, they don't have as much flavor, and it's not bursting with flavor, and the intensity isn't as big as drinking an 8% double IPA or something, right? So, and the lacing, lacing's really nice as well. One more sip, and then we'll kind of formulate a score on this one and finish it up. So, I'm not loving this beer. I don't think it's amazing. The English IPA style is not a style that probably nowadays I would come back to and say, oh man, that's my favorite style. What I will say about this is, as far as I know about the style and what I've had, this is well made, albeit maybe a little bit lighter in terms of flavor, whether, the characteristics, the intensity of the flavor is a little bit lighter than I'm accustomed to. It is 5%. So again, take that into consideration and keep that in mind. However, I'm digging what's in my glass. I'm going to drink the rest of this, and I'll be happy about it. I'm not going to sit here and BS you and tell you this is like, the best beer I've ever had or anything. It's also not a bad beer. It's just one of those old school beers in an old school style that if you're somebody who just got into craft beer, you might not appreciate it. And I appreciate it because of when I originally tried this one and how I compare that experience to what I'm experiencing now. It's like, man, how did I hate this? 12, 13 years ago. Well, your palate changes, the 6, 7, 8,000 beers I've had since then. Yeah, it's definitely nowhere near as, it sounds bad to say nowhere near as bad, but it was a shock to my palate back then. I was like, oh, this is bitter. This is gross. I don't like those flavors. Now I'm like, I want more flavors. Where are the flavors in this beer? That's what I'm saying right now. So rating wise, I'm going to give it 2 ratings. Not that I drink a lot of English IPAs, but I think stylistically what they're kind of going for, and this being like the OG IPA, I'm going to give Samuel Smith their India Ale. Stylistically, I think this is like a high 4, low 4.25. I'm gonna say 4.2. I think it's like really well done for the style. Personal preference, I'm honestly gonna give this a high 3.75. I'll go 3.85. I think this is pretty damn, like, again, I go into every every review without preconceived notions, for the most part, of what I'm going to be drinking here. The only thing I knew about this one, I didn't like it, 12, 13 years ago. But what's in my glass is pretty enjoyable. I wish I had a little bit more flavor, but as a whole, like, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. And that's all I got to say about that. So we'll throw this over here. Let me read the back real quick, and then we'll do price point and availability. It says, brewed with well water, the original well sunk in 1758 is still in use. The hard water being drawn from 85 feet underground, malted barley, hops, and yeast, fermented in open-topped stone, quote, Yorkshire squares to create an exceptionally full-flavored complex ale with an abundance of maltiness, yes, and a fruity hop character. That's where the marmalade comes in. This is a firmly hopped, elegantly balanced, authentic English IPA. Couldn't have said it better myself. I literally could not, because I'm terrible with the English language. Price point, $13.99 a 4-pack here in my neck of the woods at the place I bought it. Might be a little bit cheaper depending upon where you go, maybe a little bit more expensive. That's what I paid for it here in Buffalo, New York. In your neck of the woods, could be a bit cheaper, a bit more expensive. Let me know if you pick this one up, what you paid for it. I think a single bottle for me was like $3.79 or something, so I don't regret buying it. I'm glad I gave it a go, and again, I think it's pretty damn solid. And availability here in the U.S., if you have a local beer store or a grocery store that has an import section, Sam Smith is usually in that. Samuel Smith is definitely in that section. Especially if like they have break it down English, German, and Belgian beers. These guys are definitely going to be in the English section. I'm not going to sit here and advocate buying this one, but if you're interested in it, give it a go. But like, their oatmeal stout, their tatty porter, their nut brown ale, their chocolate stout, those are the 4 that like I really enjoy, especially that chocolate stout, my favorite of the bunch. Definitely give them a go if you've never had any of their stuff. They are a classic English brewery that, their beers are just really good. So anyway, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. 5% alcohol by volume. Nah, not at all. I will say, like I said, this has more of like an English bitter ESB with a little bit more hop character to it, a little bit more fruitiness, a little bit more bitterness, right? That's what it kind of drinks like. And that's, I think, kind of like the English IPA style is kind of in that realm, but it's damn solid. So I'll be curious to hear what you guys think about it out there. So again, post in the comment section. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.